Thank you very much for purchasing our late model Honda Spirit 750 kit. This little video will just show you the changes that you make from the Aero, and this will be for the shaft drive later model 2007, late 2007 model Spirits that have the shaft drive. So the only really difference would be probably just the headlight, and then I'll show you what we did with our bars. But I mean, other than that, maybe wrapping the exhaust and a few things would be a little different, but everything else should match the Honda Aero quite closely. Oh, and this will also be a good little video for the Phantoms. So anyway, let's show you a few changes. Be sure and watch the wiring video on the headlight especially. If you'll notice, I wrapped the stock exhaust on this bike. I think it looked pretty cool just to wrap the stockers, especially if you're on a budget. You will have to pop the heat shields off the bike on the front there. I think the top heat shield on the top pipe, just tap it forward and up, and it should just pop right off. And then the bottom one, you have to actually pry it off, and then when you get done, you'll have to grind the little tabs that hold the heat shields off. You'll have to probably pop the exhaust up to do that. So, and then I just wrapped it. So anyway, that's just kind of a cool little idea there. Save some money. Also, if you'll notice, I got the little white star on there. That's actually to cover kind of a dinger that was in the tank. So it's amazing what you can do if you just have a little ingenuity and then save you having to repaint the tank. So anyway, let me show you one other little quick change before we go on the lighting. Here's something kind of fun you could do too to save yourself having to buy new handlebars. What I did is I just rotated these risers around 180 degrees. All you do is just loosen the bolts on the bottom. You'll have to take your bars off, set them on the tank with a towel. So pop these clamps off, and then you rotate these risers around 180 degrees so they face forward. And then just go ahead and reposition, just clamp on your bars again, and then you'll have to readjust your angle on your clutch and your brake levers. But gosh, other than that, that's kind of a cool way just to kind of move the bars up and forward and kind of give you a little more of a lean forward bobber look. There's another quick look at the bars. I just kind of droop these down, make them kind of look almost cafe looking. So it's just a little thing you could do, and then later on we're going to put a drag bar on this bike too, so there you go. Okay, before we get started on mounting these front lights, and you'll notice in the video I forgot to do it myself. I forgot to put these amber lenses on, but before you even get started, go ahead and change out these red lenses to the amber. What you do is you just undo the little screw in the bottom, and then pop that red lens out and put the amber one in place, because the laws say you have to have amber in the front. Do that, and then we'll get started. Let's go ahead and do the front lights on this Spirit. Now, this is a real easy bike to do this way, so just go ahead and follow along, and we'll show you how to do her. Okay, first thing you want to do is pop your front headlight out of the bucket. Okay, that's the way it sits in there. There's two screws on the bottom, one on this side and one on the other. Just take those screws out, and then the bucket or the headlight will rotate up and pop off like that. Then go ahead and unplug your wire here. This is the connector that was in there. Go ahead and unplug that. And then we'll go ahead and remove the side signal lights. Now this is where they were before I took them off. You'll notice there's just two screws in the back. Or excuse me, one screw in the back. There's a screw there. Just go ahead and take that off, and then that'll come off there. And then these wires will unplug out of the bucket here, and then they're the orange and the blue connectors. Just undo those, and then these signal lights will come right out of there. So go ahead and remove all that, and then we'll wire these bad boys up. Okay, this will be for these small bullet lights. We'll do the large nickel lights in a minute. Okay, go ahead and cut these wires off. Make it about 8 inches that you'll cut off there. So cut those off the two lights, and then what we'll do is we'll strip the insulation off these lights, and that should expose the blues and the greens on that side and the oranges and the greens on that side. So do that, and then we'll hook these bad boys up. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to splice these wires to the wires that you cut off from the motorcycle. So go ahead and in your kit there's some small butt splicers. Go ahead and crimp these on the ends of your lights, just like that. What I do on these, I like to double the wire over because these are really thin wires, so I kind of trim them off a little bit longer, double them over, and then slide them into the butt splicer. And make sure you give that butt splicer a real good crimp. Now you're just going to crimp the one side so you can leave the other side open for the other wire to go in. So go ahead and put the butt splicers on the ends of those. Like I say, just crimp this end. We're going to slide that in there later. And then we'll continue on here. Okay, let's start with the blue and white striped wire. We'll do the striped wires first because those are the running light part of the light. And so we're going to splice those to the black wire. So go ahead and splice the blue and white to the black. Now what we want to do is we want to cut this a couple inches of heat shrink, and go ahead and just have that, slide that down, crimp this, and then we'll slide that over the butt splicer and heat shrink that. So go ahead and do that, and then we'll continue on to the orange. Okay, on the other light, go ahead and do the orange and white to the black. That's on the other light. So we'll have a blue and white on the one light and the orange and white to the black on the other light. Don't forget your heat shrink. Okay, next go ahead and do the solid wires. So you'll do the solid blue to the red and the solid orange to the red on that light. And then go ahead and heat shrink those, and then we'll continue on here. Okay, if you'll notice, I've just left one of the green wires out of one of the lights. You can go ahead and tuck this one in the heat shrink. So anyway, what we're going to do next, we're going to go ahead and leave that green wire out, and then we're going to go ahead and put these 10-inch pieces of large heat shrink that are in your kit. Let's go ahead and put those over the wires. And then what we want to do is we want to heat shrink just the ends, just that end and this end, just the ends on the heat shrink. That way they'll still slide on the wires. We want to be able to slide those back and forth a little bit, so once we get this screwed on there, we can slide that up there and make it look nice. So just heat shrink just the ends. Go ahead and do that. Leave that green wire out of one, tuck the other green one in, and then we'll go ahead and hook these up. Okay, this is just a quick note to how the lights fasten to the clamps here. What you do is the star washer. This is the star washer. This is the flat washer. The star washer goes on the outside of the clamp, like that. And then the bolt and the flat washer go on the inside. So anyway, that's how they work. The reason for that is the star washer on the outside will lock the light so it won't swivel. That way you don't have to over tighten this bolt. So because you don't want to over tighten that, that's a hollow bolt. So the star washer will kind of lock that and keep that from swiveling. So that's just a quick note on that. Let's go ahead and hook these lights up to the brackets. Okay, you'll have to fasten your lights to the clamps before you put them on the bike. Just leave these a little bit loose so they swivel, but just go ahead and snug up them just till they swivel a little bit. And then if you'll notice, I've done the left side. This is the left when you're sitting on the motorcycle. That's your orange wire. Then the blue wire goes on the right side. If you have any questions on that, just go ahead and fast forward and you can see how they mount to the motorcycle on the next frame. Okay, I've mounted these lights to the fork tubes here. The light's here, the clamp is here, and the clamp is sitting right on that wire hoop right on the back there that the wire goes through. I'll show you that from the front. Now, one thing I want you to do for sure is don't get too carried away on the torque on these bolts. On these two and the one that hold the light on, because these are hollow, and then these are just quarter 20s, so we've had a lot of guys break those off because they get too carried away. So what I do, I just tighten them up just to where they won't swivel, and maybe just to where they compress those lock washers. Oh, and I do the washer, lock washer, and then nut. And like I say, don't get too carried away on all this stuff because you don't want to break it off. Okay, and that's another view of the light mounted on there. And let's see, okay, now you can see the wires. They go down through here, through that little loop in the back here, and then they go right up through the headlight bucket, and then they plug into the headlight right here, just like this. Go ahead and just plug those in. Now, for some reason you got one side backwards from the other, you can go ahead and plug the blue into the orange and the orange into the blue. That won't matter, because they both are the same connectors. So go ahead and do all that, and like I say, line your lights up. Now, I like to have the lights parallel to the ground. I see a lot of guys mount them on weird angles. They should be parallel to the ground. That makes them look the nicest. Make sure they're straight to each other. See, that's pretty much parallel to the ground there. And then go ahead and turn your switch on. Before you seal this up, I want to tell you about that ground wire, but let's go ahead and they should work, so you can go ahead and turn the key on and let's check it out. Okay, if you'll notice, the light works. And then try your signal lights. Now, it should be a lot brighter than the running light. It should overpower this a lot. So go ahead and make sure that overpowers that and that works right. If for some reason it doesn't, you've got the red and the black wires coming out of the lights hooked up backwards. So there you go. Okay, before we button this up, let me show you what to do with that ground wire. Okay, here's that green wire that was hanging out. What I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and put that little ring connector and go ahead and crimp that on the end of that green wire. We just need to do one of them. What we're going to do is we're going to ground this to the motorcycle. So go ahead and crimp that on there, and then I'll show you where we fasten this to the motorcycle. Okay, let's go ahead and hook that ring connector to the headlight mounting bolts. Just feed it back through the back of the headlight and then go down and just fasten it to that nut right there. There's two bolts that hold the headlight on, one there and one there. Just go ahead and fasten it to that one or that one, it doesn't matter. That way what we're doing is we're guaranteeing that the bike, the headlight will be, or the lights will be grounded to the motorcycle and not through the bearings and the headstock. I don't like that. So anyway, go ahead and do that ground wire like that. And then let's go ahead and put the headlight ring back on. Now make sure you plug the headlight in before you put the ring back on. I did that a minute ago and then I fought it twice. So, and then if you locate this in that notch above, just kind of carefully locate that before you push the bottom in. And these screws here will be much easier to put in. And then there's a little collar there that on the bottom. There's a little collar right there on the bottom of those screws there. That might fall out, but actually it's kind of good. I took it out and put it on the bolt and then screwed it in the light, and it made it a lot easier. So go ahead and put those back in. Don't over tighten those, and then check your lights one more time. And let's continue on this bad boy. Okay, if you have the black nickel lights, these are even easier to mount and to wire up. I love these lights. They're just the best quality. So anyway, okay, they mount just the same as the others. Make sure you don't overly tighten the bolt here, the nut here. It's hollow. And then these have the wires come out. Now these have the ground wires already in them, so you don't have to worry about the ground wire in the headlight at the last step there on the other section. So okay, what you'll do is you'll take your light and you'll just chop this wire off at 12 inches long. And I'll show you this on a diagram here in a minute. So you'll cut that at 12 inches, and then we'll go ahead and I'll just show you how these splice on the ends. Go ahead and strip the insulation back. And then inside the wire you have a purple, blue, and black. Okay, the black is the ground, the blue is the running light, and the purple is the flasher. And there, okay, so go ahead and put your butt splicers on just like in the other video. And be sure and put your heat shrink on before so you can put that over there and heat shrink your connections. So, and everything else pretty much wires the same as the other lights, except you will have to hook up your ground wire to the connector coming out of the motorcycle. But it's really simple. You don't need the heat shrink and everything when you get finished. So it's not a lot cleaner setup actually. So okay, I'll show you the diagrams. Okay, what we got here? Let me pan in on this. Bear with me for a second. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I could leave this on there for a minute if you want. Okay, you've got your light. You cut the wires off at 12 inches. And then on your little connector on the motorcycle, go ahead and cut those at about 4 inches. On the other lights, I told you 8 inches, but on this you don't need that much. And then these wires will have the shielding on them, and they'll look really nice when they go into the headlight bucket. So all you do is you just trim the shielding off the ends. So go ahead and do that, and then we'll continue on. Okay, this is basically how it works. If you got your light here and your connector here. Okay, you're on the lights. On the one side, you'll hook up your blue wire to your orange and white, and your purple to the orange, and then the black is the green, or black to green, and that's your ground. And then on the other lights, you've got your blue to blue and white, purple to blue, and black to green. So go ahead and follow that right there. I'm going to leave this on there just for a minute, and you can go ahead and pause your computer there and maybe even print this out. That way it'll be real easy for you. So go ahead and splice the wires just like that, and then pretty much just follow the rest of the other part of the video on the smaller lights, and just go ahead and hook everything up. Like I said, it'll be a lot cleaner deal because coming out of the lights you'll have these nice looking shielded wires. This will be nice shield, so it'll just go right up into the bucket like that, and that'll look really nice. And like I say, you ignore that ground wire at the end there. You don't need that. So anyway, that should do her. So go ahead and hook those big lights up, and they look really nice on there.